So, Kate, you have lived and worked in China before you were sentenced to journalism. So, from your sort of perspective, the conversations you've had with friends and colleagues when you were living and working there, how do they feel about their place in the region?
Well, Richard, from all of the conversations that I had, I think what we really need to do, or what I felt from my friends' opinions, was that we probably need to pick apart this term aggression from their perspective. So for the people that I knew, I really got a sense this aggression was seen more in terms of maybe a retribution or a restoration rather than actual sort of regional aggression. And I think to understand this, we should probably go back some time in history. At the moment, people have this sort of collective memory of a sense of national humiliation during and sort of pre-World War II, where they felt they were humiliated a lot by Western nations. And so I think this aggression should really be seen from a Chinese perspective in terms of China finally getting or restoring its rightful place in the region and in the world as well.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, so let's talk SCTX. It was your first one. You've obviously recently joined us, so you'll have a lot of that. Your sort of thoughts about the technology that was on show there.
Well, Richard, I think counter-UAS was probably the most important or the biggest thing that really stole the show there yesterday. It was absolutely everywhere. And I think that's kind of in response, well, it's definitely in response to the Heathrow and the Gatwick incidents, as well as there was one recently at Newark International Airport in the US and also one in the UAE, which was very expensive, I think. So although this is definitely at some point going to be kind of reaching outside our remit in terms of defence, I think it's still quite interesting because the UK MOD has this requirement at the moment for a counter-small UAS, which they want to use overseas as well. But what I thought what else was interesting, Richard, was that you were saying about this is a growing market and there's definitely a proliferation of the types of technologies and the types of actual sort of physical manifestations of counter-UAS as well.
Oh, sure. I mean, because it's a growing market, there's an awful lot of companies that feel they can make a play in it. Now, that doesn't mean that a company will offer a full spectrum detection and track capability. Maybe they're just focusing on RF frequencies or just radar or even just EO/IR. So what we had at SCTX was a lot of companies showcasing singular detection capabilities that if you were to utilize, they would be worked into a system of systems approach so that the modularity or hopefully the inbuilt modularity of all these systems would enable them to operate collectively. Also, an interesting point I think we need to make, again, I know it's not really something we would talk about on the defense podcast, but jamming. Now, militaries don't really have too much concern about jamming because that's part of their day job. That's what they do. For civil aviation or for a site of critical national infrastructure, if you're using jamming capabilities, whether that's RF or otherwise, you might be interfering with GPS or Wi-Fi. So suddenly you're interfering with flight operations or an airport's operations as well. So I think airports, conversations I had with industry at SCTX, they led me to believe that really an airport is going to have a more kinetic approach when it comes to countering the drones that break into their airspace. Now, whether this is through the use of large nets being chucked at them or even what were described as suicide drones, but basically drones being used by the airport to collide with drones that are behaving badly, I guess. So it's a very different approach for the civil side of things than what the military has to do or can do. Yeah.
And just quickly on that, actually. So yesterday at SCTX, I had a conversation with a certain drone company, counter drone company, and they may have quite an interesting announcement regarding a site of critical national infrastructure. And maybe we'll be reporting on this next week sometime.
Maybe we will. That sounds good. All right. So on the land side of things this week, what's been going on?
Yep. So on Tuesday, I went down to the Science Museum, and that's not just because I like the Science Museum.
We all do.
But I actually went to see Gavin Williamson, and he's the Defence Secretary, and he was making an interesting announcement about robots in the UK MOD. So he actually said that by the end of 2019, they'll have the UK MOD will have a number of robots and also small drones in use in Iraq, Afghanistan, and also operational in Estonia.
It's interesting because we just heard previously from Gordon Arthur talking about the Black Hornet 3 and its use by the Australian Army. Now, the UK Army used to use the Black Hornet. It was phased out of service after maybe 2 or 3 years. So it looks like, they're trying to reintroduce a capability that they'd lost.
Yeah, so I also thought it was a bit of a strange announcement, really, because obviously that's not really a new capability that the UK MOD is integrating. So really here, I think the bigger story is more of a paradigm shift in the UK MOD's procurement strategy. And it seems like they're kind of opting for a more riskier procurement strategy. It's riskier in the sense that it might be higher cost. Some of the technologies that maybe they might introduce might actually become redundant and kind of be useless, a bit of a waste of taxpayers' money. But it also shows that they are talking about perhaps this, seeing this as a necessity to keep pace with what they see as technologies that their adversaries might be developing as well.
Yeah, that actually leads me into a story I want to talk about from the Sea Desk regarding. So last week on the podcast, it was mentioned I was attending an industry event. I was. That was at the Thales facility in Hengelo, where they announced a contract signing or unveiled it, whatever. They announced that they will that Thales will work with the Dutch MOD to develop a next generation fire control system that will be integrated onto the future M-class frigates. Now there are 2 frigates for the Netherlands, 2 frigates for the Belgian Navy, and all 4 of those frigates will have this next gen FCS. The capabilities of this fire control system are being designed or developed specifically to counter stealthy threats or hypersonic threats effectively from countries such as Russia. So this sort of need for industry and Ministry of Defences to change their thinking towards peer and near peer conflicts is definitely a common theme. Just another quick story, if I can, on the sea side of things, is that the U.S. Navy. It seems, although it's not been confirmed, these are just rumors, pretty strong rumors though. Mark Sellinger over in Washington D.C. reported that the U.S. Navy might be considering to cancel the midlife refueling of the Harry S. Truman. This is a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, displaces 100,000 tons, so it's a very large piece of kit. In doing so, it would shorten the service life of the ship, which can run out to maybe 40 or 50 years, but would probably, if it doesn't get the refueling of its reactors, then it's probably done after 30 years or so. So this would see a drop in the number of US aircraft carriers in service while it continues the long-running program to build and bring into service the Ford class. Interesting stuff. Just on the air side of things, very briefly, while Helen is not here, we have a quick story online highlighting that Singapore will purchase 4 F-35 fighter jets with an option for 8 more. So that's quite an interesting piece of news there for the region. And another quick one from Avalon. The Boeing's secretive Loyal Wingman UAV has broken cover. Now, if you want to read more about that story, obviously head straight to the website.
Before you just close the news roundup, Richard, can I just jump in there? That
yes.
Actually, excitingly, on the Shephard website this week, we've got some interesting first public images from Scott Gurley. And they're actually of a US Army's 82nd Airborne Division's new variant of the US Special Operations Command GMV 1.1. So what I suggest is that you go online and play a little game of spot the difference between the 2 variants. And yeah, I'll give you a little tip. So it's not just the paint job. Maybe you can tweet us if you can spot the 2 different the differences between the 2 variants.
Good stuff. Kate, thank you very much. Always good.